Try Viral Choice Junior Syrup now with a brand new look. The all-season immune booster for the whole family.
I am in what is arguably South Africa's edgiest design and decor show. I am at Design Joburg, and right now I'm standing in a collaboration between Heather Boating's studio as well as Acre Studios, which is titled Kalahari Dawn. So is the sun rising or is it setting in the Kalahari? You decide. But I'm about to step into a conversation with Heather Boating herself, as well as the duo from Acre Studios, Lianél Jongh, as well as Lindy Swart. Join me. And welcome to the Art of Collaboration, a talk curated for Design Joburg by Art of Superwoman. Today I'm in conversation with three amazing ladies who came together to collaborate on an amazing project called Kalahari Dawn. If you have not seen their stand, it's an most beautiful stand on this side right over here. It's called Kalahari Dawn. You'll see by the colors, really inspired by the Kalahari Desert. And they'll tell us more about that. But the two collaborators are two studios. One is the Heather Boating studio by Heather Boating herself. And then the other studio is two amazing ladies called Lianél Jongh as well as Lindy Swart, who are from the Acre studio. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
So I'm going to start with yourselves, Acre Studio. Lianél and Lindy, you guys founded your studio and started just as the pandemic was taking off.
A fun one.
How was that?
To be honest, I think at the end of 2019, we obviously didn't know what was going on. It was time to start doing our own ventures, and I think, I felt the need that we need to create and do something for myself. So I think starting the business was easy up until probably March, where everyone was like, oh my word, what is going on? And then I think what was quite special about starting a company is the amount of support we received, and I mean everything immediately went on to electronic version, and we actually learned that your website is important, Instagram marketing is important, all those things are super important, and the response we received from it was amazing. And I mean, I'm super privileged that the company survived and everything has just been going super well. So and then Lindy joined in 2021, and we make an amazing team because she's the organized one. I'm the little bit more crazy, but we make an amazing team, and I think as a retail store, as an interior designer, it works.
I mean, speaking about the pandemic and talking about the technology changes and having to adjust to technology, and then coming together with Lindy in that its own as a collaboration and having to meet each other at that level. What was that experience like, having to adjust to the digital format and then engaging clients and then partnering with somebody who probably doesn't have the same expertise as you but balances you out?
Yeah, so I think Lianél and I were quite lucky. We worked together at our previous company for 4 years, so I think we know each other really well. So we knew we would work well as a team, and we do balance each other out really well. Like Lianél is very much more focused on the tech side and is running our website beautifully, and I, to be honest, have no idea how half of that works. So like I'm more of I'll deal with the spreadsheet and take up that side. Where Leah's been amazing at setting up our online store.
Such a good love letter.
So I think obviously the online presence is a very important part of our industry at the moment, and it has been an adjustment to switch your whole business to online, having online meetings. I
mean, basically just up your presence and what people see, because as soon as you as an outsider read someone else's website or read someone else's product, I mean, as an outsider, you don't always know what the language is and what you're talking about. So we, as the people making it, need to understand what your reader is going to understand. So yeah, it's important.
And Heather, just staying on that topic, you obviously also had to make similar adjustments into the pandemic. How was that journey for you, and how did it redefine what success looks like? And we were just talking now, you were saying you had a stain on your jeans, and I said, how did that happen? You said, well, she bumped into one of the pillars that she had just painted. So it's an ever-changing and ever-evolving thing, being a designer, being a creator. Nothing is ever perfect or finished. So how did then getting into the pandemic and having to then readjust and change your strategy redefine your idea of perfection and success?
So I think certainly going back to the entrepreneurship side of it, you've got to wear and juggle so many hats. So being a business owner, one day we might be painting pillar and bumping into it, but you've also got to then go home and be social media marketing manager. You've got to be accountant. You've got to be creative director. So there are certainly many facets to running your own business. Certainly the pandemic shifted my sense of feeling and what I wanted to bring into interiors. And I think that really had a look at us adjusting our collab stand from a very dark and moody space in 2019 to starting the new day off with a possibility and that warmth. And I think that's really an important transition that I've sort of taken forward now, really understanding what is it that we'd like to create in our homes, in our home offices. That was a huge leap that we had to all transition to. And now going back into the offices, what do we want to make that feel and bring that through?
And I think that's so apt when you talk about 2019, and a lot of dark tones were what was pulling through in a lot of design in 2019. I think dark and more eerie was part of that kind of phase
Moody.
that we were going through.
All the mood.
All the mood, all the vibes. And then we went into the pandemic. And there's been a huge shift post-pandemic to a lot more brighter, lighter colors, and also a lot more color exploration, right? And then you're seeing that pull through in Kalahari Dawn. Can you talk us through that collaboration of these are colors that we're seeing more prominent in a lot of designs that are coming up? These are a lot more, especially the patterns and the designs and the use or the use of the ornaments on the tables, the design elements, the plinths that you are using, the tabletops are a lot more alive. It's very, what's the word? Maybe you'll give it to me.
Inspired.
Yeah. And I think warmth as well.
Yeah.
We certainly wanted to evoke that sense. In interiors, we'll talk often about sort of the color therapy, that color and that it's sort of that sense that it will be evoked. I think a lot of what we do is really about bringing that feeling as though it's so subtle you can't sometimes put your finger on it as to what it is that you feel within a room, or if you walk into a friend's home and just something feels so comfortable and you just feel very relaxed in that space. So certainly that lightening, that brightening. We've also discussed the sustainability around materials and where interiors are going. So fabrics, for instance, Home Fabrics have launched with the Fiber Guard, and I think I've always tried to push that sense of relaxed living. Life's meant to be lived. We don't need to be precious about, you can't sit on that sofa, you can't sit on that chair. All the stain removing has been incorporated into the weaves, so you can just enjoy your space and not have to be worried about them.
But I also think like going back to the concept and going back to kind of the inspired colors and the inspired aesthetic, is we worked quite well in a collaborative effort to go through every detail and go through all of the colors and go through what emotion do we want to evoke at the end of the day. And I mean, I actually think that we pulled it off by making a calm space that still incorporates some color, and that's because we've got a strong concept. So with concepts, I mean, it's any home has a concept, stores have a concept. If you don't have a strong concept at the end of the day, then your design falls flat because you've got nothing to tie things back to. And I think especially in today's world, everyone's going back to nature and going back to actually being outside and tying in things into nature. And I think hopefully that's what make our stand successful.
And then I want to now bring in the everyday person like myself, who's probably not a designer, and I
Just
know
beautiful.
thank you. I know nothing about what what elements of nature I need to bring into my home. I know nothing about the color textures or the kind of material that's needed on my couch that can ensure that my dog and my kids don't completely destroy my furniture or stain it. How do I collaborate with a designer and ensure that my vision for my home still pulls through and I am still represented in my home whilst I bring in the aesthetic that I like from you?
So I can just say, I think obviously it is a very important thing to consider our end user as well. So when obviously both Heather and Acre Studio are interior design studios as well, and I think it's very important that connection we have with our clients and to really get to know your client well, know your needs and work around that and design around that as the end use. So we're not just making products that are beautiful but that are also user-friendly, that suit the needs of the specific user and are built to last a lifetime. So that's also something that's quite important to us, is design things well and with a specific end use in mind. Like I
And
said,
with your clients in mind. I mean, your
Exactly.
clients is the starting point of any design job. So our jobs wouldn't exist if clients didn't have a certain need. So
Yeah, and to design for that client that it's not something that they can't utilize in their space or that doesn't work for them, then you have failed as a designer if you're not considering that.
Yeah, and I think we're here to guide you with that. So I think all those technical applications and all those things that you might not need to worry about, we're here to alleviate that, so not to worry.
And I'm going to stay with you, Heather. What is the importance of working with previously marginalized communities in the work that you do as well?
I think it's so important. Now more than ever, I've sort of also realized the importance of support around you in all those roles that we're having to cover, and any sort of project that you'll start. It will all start by reaching out to your manufacturers, to your designers, to your products. All of that gets incorporated to put together a beautiful end result. So the support that you have, those relationships that you've built over all the years, I think have also been something that really fuel me in my business. So going out, sourcing, exploring, meeting new people is certainly something that energizes me. And I think just having to put a stand together, it's not the three of us, there were 14 people that all came on board, and it's through those relationships, through that understanding of what would we like to showcase, what represents both of our brands. And I think we've managed to achieve that so beautifully, that both read our visual language. So I think more than ever, the support, the relationships, that's key.
Absolutely. I'm going to open up to the floor for anybody that has some questions or some comments. Just you raise your hand and a mic will be coming around.
Thank you so much. I'd just like to understand how you come to a place of knowing for sure that this is the brand that you want to collaborate with, and is it going to work in the long run?
that's a fun one.
Yeah, interesting in terms of, I think there's so many brands out there, there's so many designers and so many stores. I think it's certainly about energy and sort of meeting, greeting, and it's not through sort of learning and understanding those products that you'll then get a nice understanding whether that is an application or whether that is a product that you would like to use. There are incredible artisans out there. I've just put together some scatter cushions with some local ladies who hand bead. And again, it's sort of just those stories that you can then incorporate within your interiors. It's the beautiful products that you manufacture and design that I think you sort of get pulled to. I'm not too sure how to explain it. You sort of resonate with something. And maybe that's, a key.
Yeah, I think also when it comes to collaborating with companies, whether it be manufacturers or different interior design companies, we have a conversation. You have a chat. You see if your values align. You see if your aesthetics align. And another big thing is communication. If you find someone that is a good communicator and express their needs and come to the party in time, it's always an amazing collaboration. And in saying that, collaborations are so important. As interior designers and product designers, we've also really realized that it's a very important thing to collaborate and to support your peers and to share information, because that's how we make the design industry and product industry in South Africa grow. Otherwise, everyone's just hogging the information, and it's of no use.
So in an earlier on conversation, Bilala and Sir Abner were having a conversation about collaborating as well, and there was a moment where Bilala mentioned the wallpaper with the butterflies, and how through creating a space for a young girl, she kind of, lived vicariously through this girl, because this is something that was perhaps how a bedroom that she would have dreamed of at the age of this young girl. How do you, kind of live that and go back into that place, but also restrict yourself not to completely immerse yourself and put yourself into a space, but collaborate with your client without kind of taking over and the space being exclusively, kind of Heather Burt's studio. This is the showroom in somebody else's home. Where do you draw the line?
I think we'll always, on some level, weave our own personality into a space. You'll often have a look at a certain designer and go, wow, that sort of sums them up as a visual aesthetic, maybe that's the right word. I think I've lived vicariously through my clients as well, and love to put beautiful places together. So I think that's what the exciting conceptual start that we'll start off each project with. Again, you want to not just fill the space up with stuff. It all needs to serve a purpose. It all needs to be important pieces that you'll incorporate. And I think not getting bogged down by a certain design or a certain aesthetic, that's the whole collaborating part of, you don't want it to look like a showroom floor, that it's just one piece and they all speak the same language. I think that's where the story gets told, is by mixing those elements, mixing those designs, and putting together a space, like you say, that the end client or the little girl will just dream of coming into her bedroom and enjoying that space.
I also think when specific people look at appointing an interior designer, you are sort of drawn to someone that has something that you relate to. So it's often you'd find your styles, or there's something quite similar. It might be the same with us and Heather with our collaboration. It was an easy one to do together, because we do have very similar styles or aesthetics and values, and that really does make it a much easier process to collaborate with someone, because there is a bit of a link. It is quite a personal industry we're in. Like you get to know the person you're working with really well, and you do start to almost form a bond with them through the work that you're doing with your client, because it is a collaborative process. It's not us enforcing our design on you. We're working together to get to an end result that we're both really proud of and happy with.
I mean, it's scary in the beginning for everyone involved, because it's like starting a new relationship. You need to get to know each other, their likes, their dislikes, and take it into account while you're doing every little single detail. So, yeah, it's a tough one, but it's also a fun one, because you get to know different people and different personalities and different things that people like.
Are there any questions from the floor?
What is your first love, interior design or product development and design?
I think at the end of the day, it's probably interior design, because the end result of giving someone a space that they love is the most rewarding result you can get. Product design is amazing, like functionality and things coming into products is very important, but creating a cohesive space where a family or a person can enjoy and feel like it's their own is magical, because it's a funny feeling when you as a designer hit something spot on and it was basically what your client envisioned in their brain, in their mind. So yeah, interior design definitely. Product design is amazing. It's also very rewarding, but it doesn't top the feeling of having a good interior.
No, I had a big think about this yesterday, but I know both of us we started off with a company that also did both product and interiors. And I can't imagine doing interiors without doing the products to suit them.
We're always designing something new for a specific client.
Exactly. And like that process of doing the two together is so rewarding, and I literally couldn't imagine doing one without the other anymore.
And so the last question I wanted to ask is, art is also a big part of what you all do, and it's also a big part of spaces and preserving culture, preserving moments. In creating Kalahari Dawn, how important was art in that preservation and kind of framing that moment?
We had a little fun one while we were setting up the stand because we had a few different art pieces, and art is such a particular personal thing that, especially with clients, but with the stand as well, as soon as you see an art piece, it evokes a certain emotion. And we had this one piece where we were a little bit divided, and it makes or breaks the stand, I think. But at the end of the day, we chose, beautiful artists, Grey Room, Michael Vickers, that we also felt suited. And Heather, you can tap into this, but felt that it suited the aesthetic.
Yeah, I think just going on that, it's such a personal decision, and it will often be the final layer if we're doing an interior or home, because once you've designed those sort of key, sort of permanent features around the space, will come in with the art as that final layer, and it's immediate how something will just read off of the wall, will just finish off of a space, or just provide that sort of that feeling that it will evoke. So I think exactly what Lianél said, it's immediately once you've seen it on the wall, that sense and that feeling that it will bring to a space, which I think is so important. So keeping in tune with our stand and our collaboration, it was equally as important as what we would be doing to anybody's interior and space.
So would you say with anybody that wants to work with a designer and wants to work with an interior designer or product developer, the best way they would go about it is either to finish the space and then bring in art, or find an art piece to be able to then draw the space together to flow the art piece out into the space?
It depends what kind of person you are. I think if you love art and you give your interior designer a brief saying, listen, I love these pieces, I would love to create a space where these pieces are actually celebrated, then go with art first. Where if you do not know art, but you do want things to suit, you do want art to suit your general aesthetic, then it's the other way around. So I think it's a difficult question to ask as well, because there's two sides.
It depends,
It depends.
Project to project.
Yeah, personally, I tend to go with black and white art pieces because we like the interiors, or in my home, I like interiors to kind of be the main game and then the art to be supplementary, but other people might see it the other way around. Yeah.
And I think you'll sort of tackle those projects differently. I think if you were an art collector and you wanted your art to be the hero on the wall, that would take a completely different spin as to the interiors and the furniture that you'd fit, as opposed to starting with a home with the interiors and then almost finishing that final layer with art to make a cohesive space. So either one, and do two different approaches that you take.
And just some last words on how would you advise anyone who is roaming around trying to find somebody to partner with around Design Joburg right now? How do they approach someone and partner with them to create the space? How do they collaborate with somebody to create their space when they feel like they are resonating? Where do I even start? How do I spark the conversation?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one, but like I said, I
have
think...
a conversation.
Yeah, have a conversation, and I think it's like art as well. You know immediately when there's something that attracts you to a certain piece, and I think the same applies to the design industry as a whole. Like if there's something that attracts you to a specific designer, you might not know exactly what it is or why, but start a conversation and get to know each other. That's, like we always say, it's like you're starting to date someone. It's that awkward first date.
But then do I go and I say, I really, really like this piece, this ceramic, but I don't know how it would fit into my space. This is kind of what I'm thinking about. how do I even start? I'm just an everyday consumer and I'm amateur. How do I even spark the conversation to start the collaborative journey with you?
I think, yeah, it's if you come to any interior designer and say, listen, like I'm having such anxiety of fitting out my home to make it suit mine, then you start with a conversation. Because usually it's a two-way street, right? So you'd ask a question, I would say, listen, but I can really help you with this. What are you looking for? What are your needs? How can we uplift the space? And then you take the relationship a little step further. So you go on your second date. Do a bit of costings, do a little bit of a contract, and then you go for it. So yeah, I hope that answers it.
Thank you so much.
Beat the brr this winter with Viral Choice, the all-season immune booster for the whole family.